welcome back to yet another episode of Battle Rap Resume. Today we are going through top 5 rounds of a battler. This is something that's really fun to do on the show. Haven't done it for a little while. We've done Shufflo and Shocks and Soul and, you know, probably some other stuff I'm forgetting. The show's been like 3 years long now. It's sometimes mad going back and looking at the episodes and being like, oh shit, yeah, I did have Luigiano on. So yeah, definitely go back and listen to that one. But today we are looking at quite the opposite of Luigiano. Tony D, one of the most incredible battlers, an unbelievable writer, and someone who's a bit of a living legend in battle rap and has had so many outstanding performances. And today we're just going to be celebrating the Poisonous Poet himself. We're going to be going through his top 5 rounds. This is going to be in no particular order. It'll just be, 5 rounds each that myself and Kraft love. And Kraft, how's it going?
Yes, mate. I'm good. Very good, thanks. How are you?
Battling-wise, you've been a little more quiet, but it seems like, what I've gathered from social media, like the spoken word, raise the bar, that shit's popping.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm doing a bit of everything at the moment. Like you say, just over a year since my last rap battle officially. And yeah, been kicking on, just finished the Masters, actually. So that was cool. And yeah, just kicking on with a lot of projects at the moment and writing and different facets of writing and performance. So yeah, man, it's gone all right.
And before we got into the episode, I was looking at Tony D's verse tracker page because inevitably there's going to be so many performances that we just have to skip. By virtue of there being so many good ones, it's impossible to choose. But his stats surprised me, Kraft. Total views 5.2 million, 41 battles. His average views are 127,000.
Well, I mean, he was battling in the sort of prime of UK battle rap views and was one of the people who pushed it to be a consistent product because of the consistency of his battles. So I wouldn't say it surprises me, but what probably surprises me more is the amount of battles. Because, a lot of people probably think of 3 or 4 when it comes to mine straight away. And this is one of the reasons I first thought to do an episode about Tony as well, because I know we did the Soul one. And it was because after the Soul battle with Tony D, a lot of the criticism he got, I thought was like it was justified on the day, but in the context of his entire career, I thought was quite aimless. And quite ignorant. Some of the things being said about Tony that day. If you look back at the consistency of most of his career up to the point where he sort of semi-retired, stopped caring a bit, But you look at what he achieved. I'd say if he had stopped maybe right after the Yunnan battle, and then because that's when he said he retired, and then did a couple more, maybe like the Chiller one and the Arsenal one, I think people would 100% talk about him as the best of all time. Yeah. But I think people still do talk about him like that, and I'd probably go as far to say I think he is in the UK, but I think people forget about that, which is strange to me.
That's his best era, I think, low-key, the post-title era. He seemed to relax more. He's seen more season. Like, most of the rounds that I picked today are from latter era Tony. And, I know yourself as someone who is, very writerly. Like, there is a certain bespoke craftsmanship to a Tony D punch, isn't there? He's so seamless with it. He's so convincing and enthralling.
100%. I'll clear up that statement slightly because, yeah, like the Shocks and Raptor and all those clashes, they were all good. But I guess it was more some of the very later ones, or like the King of the Ronalds ones, or on other leagues or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or like the Jims or whoever these people. I don't think I even watched that battle. But you know what I mean? There's a few of them like that. So
yeah. But today we're getting into the cream of the crop, and we've got a lot of Tony D rounds to get into. So we'll get into the first one, Kraft. This is your choice here. His second versus Chiller Jones.
Yo, this what Chiller bring to a written. This what Chiller bring to a written. You need a genie to defeat me and fix you winning. I throw money in a hole, well, you intuition. I don't feel you, and I trust my intuition. You getting schooled for a fee, you intuition. And then it goes way fucking left.
Oh man, I mean, like, I'll say it again, like, I think Tony's the best, and all these sort of rounds are selected based on preference, probably. There might be people who disagree, but the second verse Chiller is like it's the epitome of a breakdown of a rapper. Not the breakdown of a person like we see them do to other people. Like, it's one of those situations where there's not really a personal beef. They're both going against each other because they're well known in their respective hometowns and home country, should I say. And there's no personal beef. So the angles are never going to be like that. But what Tony does is he breaks Chilla Jones down as a rapper and says, look, the wordplay you use doesn't make sense. The schemes you do are rubbish. All these kinds of things. And I just absolutely love the comedic approach he takes, because it's not like he's probably more a bar heavy rapper than he is a joker, but he is funny as fuck, like Tony D. Like his sort of sarcasm and wit, but like that sort of, because he's got that street smart and that attitude about him, he mixes it and blends it so nicely. And this is an example of that, because he's sort of intellectually breaking him down, especially with the first one about the intuition, where he mocks like Chilla's style of wordplay, which at that point Chilla had been doing for years, just been taking one word and really doing 2 or 3 pieces of wordplay with it, but making it sound like he did about 15 with it. He does the intuition. I'm using my intuition, getting schooled for a fee, like your intuition. Then then it goes way fucking left, and then he starts listing like, your dogs flee when they're into itching. I'll make the pointed hat stick like into witching, and then he ends it with, we're going Hertfordshire after the wind to Hitchins, which is just like, it's basically the best breakdown of someone who will say something for the sake of wordplay that has no relevance to the battle, doesn't even make sense, just to kind of show off. He does that scheme, and then I think in that round he also has the bar about, that's what your whole career is. I sparked to Benson, started reflecting, and I realized it's all smoke and mirrors, which is just fucking heavy. And he also does the Disney thing, where he goes
Ratatouille,
Ratatouille, and what is it?
Poker Honest.
Poker Honest. And he's like, just to fit a Disney scheme. And then he sets it up nicely. And again, it's that efficient writing where pretty much every line gets a reaction and he has to rewind and say it all again, which is the best kind of writing, really, for a battle rap, if every line is getting reaction. And then he does the whole, and then the crowd cheered, and then I kicked the screen, kind of mocking, like, I guess, fans in certain places who do react to trash shit. So he goes through that whole thing, and I just think, like, I picked that round because it's such a concise, like, direct breakdown. There's no filler in it. It's really effective, and it uses humor, like, expertly.
Yeah, makes dumb people feel really smart, and smart people feel really dumb.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect bar.
Yeah, Chilla reacts to that. Yeah, this is 7th birthday as well. The site of the Heretic Massacre. Let's not reference it. Let's just move on. That battle haunted BRR for many years. But Dot follows his sentences. Full stop period. Black Thought will expose the roots. That's when things fall apart. Let's go.
Yeah, and so many like little punches. Like little 2 bars.
No fucks given, like a lonely night.
Yeah. He had that whole rhyme scheme on Obi Trice. Was that one? I think. Yeah. So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. It is an expert dismantling from Tony, and you could feel he was sort of relishing the Chilla clash. As such a purveyor of quality penmanship, I suppose. Chilla has fallen off slightly. I've had a sort of personal crisis over Chilla. Everyone knows that I idolise his early stuff. The round I want to focus on is probably a lesser known battle for Tony of this era. This is from October 2016. This is him versus Templar Surfer Kid.
But he's advanced. And the major difference is you still training in this shit. Me, fam, I teach the class. See, I've been clocking your act. It's obvious when you rap. This style's cold turkey. I wouldn't be in this condition if it wasn't for smack. See, you play the role. See, you play the part. But it's not so slick though. Cause I read your script and the plot holds this, bro. You think they react cause you drop those sick flows? No. It's because your performance held them captives. And they developed Stockholm Syndrome.
Yes.
Or Gift of the Gab. This has not even broke 10,000 views yet, so it's definitely pulling down his crazy average. This is a massacre for me personally. I think Templar is outclassed on every single front. You know, and the way that Tony again is using humor to clown in a bit more of a broader sense, perhaps in the first, where he's doing this crazy impression of Templar Surfer Kid, the energetic barking that he does, the arms, you know, he comes on with a sort of deodorant scheme that he plays with, and I don't know, I think he just showed such professionalism, such class. Your performance hold them captive, and they developed Stockholm Syndrome. Like, I don't know, I thought Tony just had this, he was in his bag here. This is just a small room experience. Normally we see him on this giant 7th birthday stage. I think it was like 20 people here, and it was just vintage. I found it so entertaining.
Yeah, super interested in that battle, because I was in the room for that one actually as well. It was, yeah, he like totally owned that room and used quite a different style, like to what a lot of the Gab sort of rappers do, which I proper like Gift of the Gab as a league.
I mean, you battled on there.
Tony's, yeah, I battled on there once, and Tony's style kind of lends to that, but that, like I say, that sense of humor and that breakdown isn't like what's most known for on that league. So he went in there, and like you say, the comfort to be able to transition from a big stage to a very small room and hold both audiences with the same sort of level of professionalism. And he'd done it as well with the Shocks battle, where he was sort of like, I think again he posted online saying, I want to battle somebody in a pit in a small room, because I think a lot of battlers get very big, and then I think they'll only do the big ones, the big money clashes and the big crowd clashes. So I think it says a lot about sort of Tony as he's always been someone who just likes rapping and just likes the art of rap. Like, he doesn't care too much about what comes with it, the promo side of it, all that kind of thing. So I think when you're in that pit, you're in your element at the most, because it is that old school being surrounded in that small room atmosphere. And yeah, like you say, in that battle, he just proper shines. I'm interested actually in your top 5. I don't disagree with it. I think that's a cool pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we sort of agreed before, and we wanted to differentiate our top 5 somewhat, just to give the biggest span, because there are some obvious choices that I think a lot of people mentally would have catalogued. And yeah, it's just an exhibition really of this latter era Tony. I love the goat on the wall at the Alpine Ibex. I think is a wonderful, elegant, ridiculous reference from Tony, as he's always wanted to do there. But yeah, this is again a little bit of a hidden gem. Definitely check this one out. The next one that we both agree on, which again, any round from this battle, I think the third in this battle, and even the first as well, all of them are immaculate. His battle versus Yunnan.
And the shit gets worse, because aside from your dress code, you've got a haircut that says, I do that myself when I get home.
I do it myself.
Your haircut says it. It says it. Have you ever been to a dentist? Your mouth screaming, heck no. But Tommy, women read smiles, and the gaps in your teeth spell out friend zone.
This is his second round, and I don't know, maybe I would say this is his best title match.
I mean, it's the most one-sided. I think I'd agree with you. I think he just seemed so like he'd prepped so much for that battle. Like, there wasn't much filler throughout the entire 3 rounds, and they're long rounds. Yeah, I'm trying to pick out even just 1 or 2 standout moments, and I can't. But that second, he sort of, and he mentions that he's doing it as he does it. He breaks down his appearance, his like ego, and his personality, and his attitude. He really guns for him. And to be honest, that battle is like man against boy. You know, it's like father against son. It's like, let me show you how to do this. Like, Yunnan's not bad in it. Like, don't get me wrong. Yunnan gives a good performance, but it's so one-sided. I think that's the battle a lot of people remember Tony for most fondly as well. I think it's not one of the like best punchlines, but I remember just your highest viewed battle was the Shotty and Ville, proving people only watch you get killed.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that. It's all incisive. It's precise. It just cuts him apart bit by bit. You know, it's like he's just cutting every piece of him off him, tearing his skin bit by bit. It's absolutely brutal.
Yeah. So much just skillful undermining here. Women read smiles, and the gaps in your teeth spell out friend zone.
Yeah, and again, just parring someone off like that. I think the bar after that's funny as well. It's like he's lost some weight, now he has a chin, but your body looks like a beanbag with limbs, or something like that. It's like Tony has that as well. He doesn't like flex that side as often, just like that kind of old school body appearance, mum jokes, but he can do it really fucking well. He'll remind you like every now and then.
Yeah, David Masters gets mentioned here. You know, Tommy don't want the beef, but Unanimous is stronger. I like when Tony's talking about how when he was 22, he signed with Sony BMG and all those views, but you ain't seen the views from the label's office. Yeah,
that's the round he says that, isn't it? And in that round, he's also generally talking about Yunan on Twitter as well. And it's such a good sort of breakdown of in real life, you can't do. He has the GTA bar, which is one of the best bars he's ever said.
Yes.
You touch down in the pad and switch characters like GTA 5. It's just ridiculous.
Wow.
So accurate and like, you know what I mean? I've in some ways I've got love for Unanimous, you know, but he does himself no favors. And in 2018, he's still he's still doing that shit. Or he was doing it to Press One the other day, and you could just watch that battle back and just not only like and understand the bars, but actually go, this is incredibly direct. This is really true, and this is a personality breakdown. That's what I think's most incredible about that battle. I think certain rappers, when they have a reason to battle someone, the best of them comes out. When they've got a reason to dislike someone, or there's been a build up to the battle and beef, and there's been a lot of build up to that battle.
Oh yeah.
A lot online. Yunan was saying a lot of stuff. You know, Tony just does his thing where he doesn't really say much, comes cool, calm, and composed on the day, and just does his thing. I think though, that second round is the standout round of the battle. I'd agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's consummate. I mean, Tony's amazing here, and I like how he goes for all the past opponents that have bodied Yunan towards the end of the second. Repeatedly punked on Cam. Rowan played Ashton Kutcher. Money Mitch gets mentioned naturally. Don't deserve the title, don't deserve your ego. And yeah, it's a fantastic round and absolutely love that battle. But yeah, I'd say the second from Tony is probably his best round there. Want to focus on the next Battlecraft, which we've both picked rounds from. This being the first and third round by Tony in the Shotty Horror match.
War's fair, so I don't care what they rap with a pen in their palm. In battle rap, I expose biological warfare. I don't care. When I rap, I'm penning napalm. Cyanide soliloquies. Cyanide soliloquies. My breath got that death smell when I exhale. Poison lines going over heads like chemtrails. The Agent Orange.
Yes. So I'll say though, I picked the first round to be a bit like left field.
Yeah.
I think both rounds are ridiculous, and in my top 5, I just didn't want to put 2 from the same battle. I would have put both in, but yeah. So you picked the third round, and I picked the first round.
That's right.
So which one do you want to go through first?
Yeah, we'll go through the first one. And I mean, the first thing you notice when you watch these events back, like I'm gonna have Sean O'Mac on the show just after this, and I watched him versus Big J, which is the first battle that went down at this event. What a fucking enormous crowd it is. Like, I actually have seen, I saw MF Doom in the Ritz in that same room many years ago, and it wasn't even sold out, but there were so many people there, and it's just like, it's such a crowning moment for battle rap, and this is the bloody tiara on top.
And I think I remember someone saying, like, maybe it was Rowan or maybe it was Briggsy, or someone who was involved in organising the event told me the actual footage didn't do justice to, not in a bad way, but it didn't do justice to how loud the crowd were. Like, because it was completely packed, and you can hear this sort of roar every time the fans react to a line, but you can almost tell that in the building that would have been shaking the place apart. So you just had that atmosphere. I think that is probably the biggest UK versus UK matchup. That one and Lunacy OShea, you know what I mean? Talking about two battles that sold out an 1,000+ venue basically on their own. That's how big this battle was. And that's the thing about this first round, for Tony D to go second and come into Shotty's hometown to do this battle, which I think's like great in itself. And I think it's such a clear 2-1 this battle. Shotty's one of my favorites. He's incredible. Shout out to his new album, by the way. That's fucking amazing. Solved it. Oh, it's brilliant. I've listened to it loads of times. Incredible. But two of the best, and I think Tony clearly 2-1s him. I gave the Shotty the second, but I think the first and third are really clearly Tony D. I remember being debated at the time, and I didn't really understand why. But this first round, what it does is Shotty does these sort of long drawn out schemes and stuff, and it's good and it's entertaining, but Tony comes into his round and does these 2-bar punchlines, and they're all room shakers. Every single one's getting Ricky Hatton haymakers, these punches, body shots. Find Cat's head in the bag on Curry Mile. To get he had to move to the main road. Like, I haven't even written these down. I'm just remembering them. Like, bro, I'm just remembering these. You know what I mean? I can probably quote that battle.
To shake Man City like Arab Cash.
Yeah, ridiculous. And then the body shots, and even that rhyme scheme, the Molotov and the bottle job bit, so fucking cold. And he's getting more reaction than a fan favorite in his hometown. That's what's incredible about that first round. My favorite bar, one of my favorite ever Tony bars, is said in this round as well, which is, and again, you're talking about a bar that's direct and stuff, that like just perfectly worded. It's the Spider-Man one.
Oh yeah.
So so he's talking about Shotty, how he was saying fuck don't flop and stuff when he left, and it goes you go online sounding your swollen vagina, fuck don't flop that, couldn't keep the emotion inside ya, saw the king of the dot footage, all your commotion been cyber, you act worse on the web than Tobey Maguire in his role as a spider. That's one of my, bro, that for me, that's like, those sort of bars are the best, when it's like a perfect multi-syllabic in the setup, like every setup rhyme makes sense and is relevant. It's not thrown in there like, oh, and now I'm spitting it hot. There's none of that shit. It's just everything is super direct and like conversational, like a narrative, like natural speech rhythm. It doesn't feel like it is rhyming. It feels like someone's just saying something. For me, people like Shuffle are very good at that. That's my favorite type of writing in battle rap. You're the film expert as well. I think it's a pretty on point bar, isn't it? Like Tobey Maguire, not the best sort of actor.
I mean, he was all right in Spider-Man. I felt, I don't know, but
he was like okay.
He was okay. Right. I mean, it doesn't really change the bar really, but yeah, he's kind of acknowledged to have a bit of a misfiring sequences. But the first is great. The whole him lying about being punched in the face as well, stretching the lie. It's I did not have sexual relations with that woman level. It's the we've got weapons of mass destruction level, and lots of fantastic writing from him here. But I think the third is just a real flourish, and it has some of Tony's longest sequences in of themselves. I would say probably the biological warfare is maybe his longest altogether piece in a battle. Oh, that's like it's like a slow it down essentially, isn't it? Yeah, but it's like the cyanide soliloquies. It's just the amount of metaphors that he's throwing together. I've never seen it be so condensed. Yeah, maybe if I'm remembering correctly, the Warren that's commencing sort of bit against Chris Leesy does that a bit as well, but I know what you mean. This is like a lot of double meanings like repeated. And we get so many good flips as well. Tony's award, mate. Expose what's inside and really show you horrorcore. Yeah, you know what as well, this round has the real haymakers. You know, towards the end of that round, the huge bars, the ones that were gonna get the biggest of the battle, he positioned there to make it a strong closing round. Which I always, one of my favorites is I saw off Shotty like I'm modifying weaponry. That's so nicely worded as well. So like really, like you say, like the horrorcore, the Rock is Horror Show. There's a lot of like unique Shotty horror wordplay
considering he'd battled a lot and people who battle Shotty are going to try and flip his name, Tony battles and battles later still managed to have the best ones, which I think says something.
Yeah, and he just, you know, kind of punctures a lot of what Shotty had said, really, talking about how it was just a hobby that he does at the weekend, you know. And Shotty's angle always was weird, because it's like, Shotty, you battle as well. You know, you probably don't battle 4 times, 3 times a year. Like, you're not a fucking wrestler or some shit. It didn't make any sense. I
forgot about the flip. No, the flip in the third round might be what makes it like better than the first. So that flip about he flips 2 of Shotty Horror's main angles over a whole round in one bar at the start of the round.
Yeah.
When he says talking, what does he say? Talk about my kids. That's a different palaver. How can I fly around the world battling and still do my bit as a father? Mm-hmm. Which the whole 2 angles of the Shotty's round were something about him and as a father, and something about why don't you're too scared to go on King of the Dawn, too scared to go to Smack or whatever. And then like that's incredible. Like, Tony is a great freestyler. Even if you've just been around him outside of battles and watch him just freestyling, he's ludicrous, especially on beat. And he was the kind of person, he'll flip when he needs to, and I think he needed to rebuttal that. But to do it in a 2-bar that effectively and get a big crowd reaction, it's got to be one of the most effective flips ever said in battle rap. It's got to be.
Yeah, I think it's definitely up there. I mean,
to cancel out a round, to cancel out a 5-minute round, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, he just snuffs it there and then, and
it's not human at all.
He flips Shotty's graveyard slogan as well. Of course, there's space in there. You don't ever put no bodies in it.
This is the thing I always say about Tony D, man. Tony D is the king of simple bars, but not the bad type of simple. The type of simple that's incredible. Why didn't I think of that? He pulls off these punchlines that are so obvious, but they're the ones that are sitting on the back of your mind, waiting to come to the front, and then he's the person who says it, and then it comes to the front of everyone's mind, and then they all react at the same time. He just creates these moments in battles. Yeah, I can't explain it much better. Like, it's a moment where it's the moment that the battle was leading up to. That kind of bar. Everybody's been waiting for that one line that was sort of sitting there for somebody else to use. Nobody else has used it. Tony's thought of it perfectly and he said it, and that's probably one of the biggest reactions of the battle as well, that line. So yeah, that whole round, man, it's nuts. It's fucking nuts.
I mean, that whole battle, you know, 4 years old pretty much.
It's great on both sides, man. Like, Shotty's incredible. Like, I think it's the only battle I think I've seen Shotty lose. Like, Shotty's amazing. Fucking one of my favorite football bars is the I'm taking out
German
Tony's groups.
Manager reserving stamina.
So he goes, I'm gonna cancel out both your groups, like the German manager reserving stamina, taking out Tony Cruz. That's so sick, man.
Yeah.
That's like, that's slick as fuck, man.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Heavy.
That's an incredible bar. Yeah.
Like, so Shotty's got a lot in that battle, man. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
It's a testament to how good Tony is in that battle. Nothing to do with Shotty underperforming. You know, on another day, Shotty can probably beat Tony, but yeah, for me that was I don't know about you. For me, that was a clear 2-1. That battle.
Yeah, definitely had Tony winning. Let's talk about the Raptor battle, specifically Tony's second in that battle.
Cause I can beat you by being you, but I gotta add a touch of tone, cause you don't just come up short cause of your stunted growth. It's the way you make your arms in that funny pose when you bust a flow. It's the way you move them arms in that funny pose when you bust a flow. It's the act of a kid trapped in the lift, banging the buttons.
Yes, so this was the one just outside of my top 5. But this is in your top 5, right?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, the second round. Yeah, you chat about that one, man.
Yeah, I mean, you know, coming after an incredible first from Raptor, this is definitely when Raptor peaked, as I said many times on the show, and he's admitted it himself. This is when he was last really caring about this. And, you know, Tony does do a sort of cliched scheme on the new battlers that came through the UFF cycle, you know, spit something sick on stage, the Saga, the new school URL scheme, T-Top, that's why this rookie Versa Vet, we get Mountain play. Yeah, it's not bad. Talking about his flow as well, the act of a kid trapped in a lift, banging the buttons.
And is that the one we had the Mountain bar, you said?
Yeah.
What's interesting about that as well, it's not like the best punchline ever, but it's the looking down to you, altitude, mountain view. Like it's again, the setups are so perfect. They're all relevant to mountains. Then there's nothing out of place there. So it's just, again, expert writing, really, even if it's a simple payoff. The best bit, the pinnacle of that is the bar about nil by mouth, right?
Oh, yeah, because it goes all up your nose.
On that subject, there's the setup to that was something about, he sort of says, I came to way up and back deflate like I'm cutting coke. On that subject, though, he loved the snow, couple O's. That's why his album's called Nil by Mouth, because it all goes up his nose. How perfect. How, like, again, taking something that everyone knows Raptor's, at that time, Raptor's only album is called. Everyone knows that. To flip that on him like that. And what's crazy, because again, I was in the room for that one, because I battled that weekend as well. I was definitely in the room for that. And I didn't clock until I watched that battle back how far before that bar, that rhyme scheme begins. And that rhyme scheme is almost the entire round. Even the one you just said, the act of a kid trapped in a lift, banging the buttons, though. That's still on the up his nose rhyme scheme. The whole thing. And there's so many bits in that. There's so many elements, little punchlines. And then what he says after that, if I'm remembering correctly, is the same round. So I've got the link here. Is that he does that long scheme on a rhyme scheme, and then says, "That's what you do. In your style, that's 40 seconds. In my style, that's 3 sentences." Which again, that's not really a punchline. It's one of those beautiful bars where it says exactly what you need to say. It's saying, "I'm more of an efficient writer than you are. I can write things into 3 sentences that you have to use up half your round to write." While in the process using up half his round, but doing it really well. Not that Raptor doesn't do it really well, especially that time, because he's one of the best at sort of extending a scheme out in the same rhyme scheme. I remember the waves crashing, plane smashing, arranged marriage, that whole thing he did. So I just think that's a crazy effect. It's sort of similar to the Chiller one, breaking someone's style down as well. Like, Tony is one of the best, if not the best, at doing that. Making somebody look simplistic, making them look formulaic and predictable in front of everyone, and then everyone going, "Oh yeah, he does do that."
Yeah,
that's one of the most effective things you can do, to plant a seed in the crowd's head, and then for the rest of the battle, they're spitting with that burden on them. So yeah, I think that second round, man, is absolutely genius.
Yeah, he goes into how stretched out he is, the distinct lack of lung control. Ryu ain't got fire in your hand. And
that's nice.
Yeah, really nice. It's a great round from Tony there. Do you think Raptor won the battle, though, altogether?
Debatable. I think Tony won it, personally. I know there was a lot of debate, which is healthy. There was a lot of debate for the Raptor and Shocks battles, and people were saying there was favoritism, but I called them both the same way. I called them Shocks and Raptor getting the first rounds and then Tony getting the second two, but kind of edging it. I remember especially the Shocks one. Shocks, I thought Shocks' first is the best of the battle. It's the most one-sided round, but Tony sort of edges the second two and takes them. I felt the same, but I think it's like going against a champion, even though it's not the champ at that time. To beat a champion, you have to beat them. You can't debatably edge them. You have to beat them. I don't think either of them beat Tony D. May everyone go, "Oh yeah, Tony lost." Like, clearly, it didn't happen. So when you leave that sort of margin for debate, it can always go either way. So maybe they both could. I remember watching Raptor's third, and did Tony go first in that? I think he did. I think Tony went first.
Tony did go first.
And I remember being in the room. I can't remember who I was standing with, but I was with someone, and I said to them, if Raptor's third is amazing here, he's won the battle. Because I said Tony's third round's beatable, and it was 1-1 at that point, and he just didn't. Raptor also, if I remember correctly, he sort of ended his round early. He seemed to choke and then go, oh, I'm just going to call time before I choke. If you watch it, I'm pretty sure he doesn't finish his bars. And I feel like he could have done more to drive home the win. So, but me personally, I think it'd be good to see what people think of that. I know it was a few years ago. People still think that now. Because, yeah, obviously Tom has Raptor and I have Tony. If anyone in the comments sort of has a view on that, that'd be good to know.
Yeah, it's a fantastic battle. So let's talk about another celebrated Tony round, a round that comes to mind for a lot of people. His first versus OShea.
This the kind of match reminding man of Guy Ritchie behind the camp. Tommy and Turkish working with an unlicensed fighting scam. Two black guys trying to rob a bookies with a dire plan and a getaway driver that's an overweight giant man. And Frankie Four Fingers with a stash that had the diamonds at. And a pissed off brick top that'll feed you to his swine for snacks. And Brad Pitt as a packy lad who likes to scrap and fights for cash. Cause everybody in this room tonight came to see the title Snatch.
Yeah, man. What a battle. For me, this might be the best ever Don't Flop battle.
Wow.
Tony D vs OShea. It's perfect. I can show that battle to anyone and get them into battle rap.
Yep.
And it's also super funny. There's some great bars in it. Maybe for me, like, I love C Major versus Soul as well. That it's probably out of them two for my favorite. But Tony D vs OShea, man, that's one of the ones that really I was already into it. I was always watching a lot of Don't Flop, but that was one of those battles that made me love battle rap, and made me sort of know about Tony D as well. He really showed what he's all about. That first round, man, that's the one where he sort of got does the funny jokes and goes, you want to be funny, I can be funny too.
Yeah.
And then what I love about that battle is in the second round, OShea goes, oh, you do schemes and bars, I can do schemes and bars too, and does it really well. And they both have the angle of what you do is easy, I'm going to do it. Yeah. I love that they both do that. It's almost like they scripted it and wrote it together. It's that incredible.
Yeah. And the title Snatch scheme?
Yeah, man. I think arguably Tony's best ever. Definitely most effective punchline, because that's like the one that won him the title, you know. When you look back at big moments. Yeah, when you look back at big moments in that battle, that's the biggest moment. Everybody in the room tonight came to see that. I've got it written down actually, because we're going to go over punchlines later. But it's just an awesome scheme. And everybody, it's one of the ones that everybody sort of knows what the reference is quite early on. Everyone's got it, so everyone's going with it, but no one knows where it's going.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's as good a payoff you can get to an 8-bar setup. Really, something that direct. That situational as well. Like, that can only be said in that battle at that moment. That's not a bar you could recycle somewhere else. Which I think is always a measure of like how good a bar is how particular to a situation it is.
Yeah.
I think we said that in the Soul episode as well. You know, some of the stuff he says is so tailored to the person's name and the situation and the match they're in, where they are. Like, Tony's just great at that. Proper direct and not recyclable material. What other bars he got in that first round?
Yeah, the midget porn as a battler come up short on camera.
That's decent, yeah. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, for the 9 months she carried you, her nickname for you was Cock Blocker. I used to always like Wet More Wang Than Rain in China, until someone was like, oh, that's like an old joke, like that. He didn't write that.
See, I didn't know that was an old joke. I had not heard it before. I think that's amazing, but I haven't heard that before, you know?
Yeah, I think it's like just like an old man joke or something like that. I don't know, I have seen it in other places.
It's kind of what, at the time though, not saying that Tony did this or anything, but at the time there was, especially early UK funny battle rap, there was a thing of taking already existing jokes and putting them into rhyme schemes because they haven't been used in that format before. You know, and there are certain battlers who broke the mold of that. but that was happening for a while for sure. If you look back at 09, 2010 UK rap
the
battles.
sort of Wikipedia-cation of battle rap, it was definitely pretty prevalent there. But yeah, the first round against Osh is fantastic. I'm not the biggest fan of the con scheme in the third, to be honest with you.
I think it's great, man. I think it's not aged as well as some of Tony's other material. But what's important to know, I think, is that hadn't been done before, as far as I know. I'm not one of these fucking avocado lush one encyclopedias of battle rap who knew. They always, when I watched the watch, they seem to know that was the first time that had ever been done in battle rap. I can't say that for sure, but a whole round on like one word, one idea. And what's most important is the payoff. It doesn't go nowhere. It builds to a crescendo and then gets one of his biggest reactions ever. And I think the payoff line is amazing, even if you don't like the entire round. That idea to say, I just conned you out of your title, like you conned Censor out his, that is brilliant. It's a groundbreaking sort of thing. Like, battle rap went towards scheming for a long time, towards long drawn out schemes. That became the trend, and Tony's definitely a trendsetter in how he wrote at that time. So I'd agree with you, it hasn't aged as well as maybe other things, but that's what that battle sort of is on a pendulum, isn't it? It's like on a very preference based one. I think Tony D gets the first round. I think OShea gets the second round. So that third round is super preference based. I probably edge it just to Tony. I think the right decision was made, but I think OShea's really unlucky not to get the decision in that battle.
And the final round that I want to look at myself is his third against Death.
Brother, no 16-year-old white boys that will badge you up. 16-year-old black boys that will have you mugged. Pat your pockets down and won't even have to run. Yo, they said your chat material. They sure was lying. Definition of mid-tier. Like I came in and caught you crying.
Maybe the Death battle was a little lackadaisical. You can almost use it as testament to why these title matches sometimes don't work. They don't really make sense as a style clash, as ingredients together for the matchup. But I think, you know, Tony just sort of come through. And again, the name Death is a gift really for him to flip. But most people are thinking about the pissing off pH, off balance your alky lines could make that pH neutral.
One of the most perfect punchlines I've ever heard, without a doubt, in any context. Every part of that, again, super direct, super about a situation, about a person, about their character. The name pH, off balance, the scientific meaning, and like obviously being drunk, pH neutral. You couldn't make pH neutral in the sense of him being in an angry frame of mind to neutralize him. Your alky lines, you know, alky lines are literally lines you said when you were having a lot of alcohol. Like it's a perfect double meaning. It's hard enough to get a double meaning that works both ways on one piece of wordplay, but to have 3 pieces of wordplay in one punchline that are all perfect double meanings, which all make sense if you flip it backwards, it's just genius, to be honest. And that is the line. I think the first 2 rounds are a bit closer than the third, and in the third, Tony just kind of goes into his 9, 10 out of 10 sort of mode, and that bar is the epitome, really, isn't it? I really like again, it's a bar that's been done a lot since, but I think this is the first time I heard it. Like, definition of mid-tier, like I came in and caught you crying. That's really tight.
Yeah, very original, especially at that time. The name Death in the background, and no one want to mention it. Like comparing the Don't Flop title decision to like an old people's home is nice.
He rhymes and he goes, old people's residence. The name Death in the background, nobody wants to mention it. That's cold. That is fucking cold. These are good. Like Death is an easy. You can imagine a tryout being given definition and going, oh, I'm gonna cause death, like, you know what I mean? You could imagine a tryout using that. It's not like he's using obvious bars. He's being really creative with it as a name flip.
So the final thing we've got to go through then is a list you've made of these are your top 20 favourite Tony D bars, is that right?
Yeah, so what I sent you, people won't know this, obviously. I sent you a video because after that Tony Soul battle, I was actually looking on Twitter, and I was on Facebook or whatever, and I was a bit annoyed at what people were saying about Tony D. To be quite honest with you, man, it really pissed me off. I don't think you can undo somebody's legacy and accomplishments because they had a couple bad performances. And they were not even like I could say since then he had good battles. Like he could have had things in that top 5. Even the second round against Arsenal, I could have easily put that in my top 5. I think the second half of the round he just sort of it goes down a bit rather than staying on. But the first bit, his breakdown of Arsenal and that is brilliant, and there's so much good stuff he's over the years, and I sort of had a bit of time on my hands that day. I think I had 2 or 3 hours spare or whatever, and I just cut some of the punchlines out of his battles and made a little video of like top 20, and I was like, oh, I think I was going to put it on Twitter, then I forgot I'd done it like, the next day, to be honest. And then when you got in touch about it, I was like, oh yeah, I've got that video somewhere. Yeah. So I put it up and I sent it to you. Maybe I'll upload it to go alongside this on somewhere. Maybe I'll put that online. But I thought, yeah, it'd be good to just go through some of the punchlines. I mean, you could make a top 200 Tony D punchlines, but to be honest, it would take a long time. So I've got a top 20. And then maybe as we go along, you can add in some of yours or something. Yeah. Cool, man. So I think some of them we've already mentioned. Oh, by the way, I wanted to shout out the Adam the Rapper battle as well. Yeah. That's one of my favorite ever Don't Flop battles as well. Because they're 60-second rounds. They're super short. It's about a 10-minute battle. Super rewatchable. I could show it to anyone. It's really funny throughout. Everything's a punchline. And I could have put that as one of the top 5 rounds. But, you know, comparing a 1-minute round to like a 5-minute masterpiece against Shotty, you know what I mean? It's difficult to compare. So that's the reason that hasn't been mentioned so far. If anyone's like watching and like sort of clutching their whatever they've got in their hand and getting angry because I haven't mentioned it. Top 20 punchlines. I'll just go through a list. Basically, I had the one against Shocks the Rebel where he goes, "Don't even think winning. Noose for you. Your neck on the line, just trying to hang with me like twin lynchings. That's gallows humor. We're going to swing till your limbs twitching. I'm so many steps ahead, it looks like I'm dancing on your boat like Hove and Big Pimpin'." The delivery of it as well, like me saying these into a podcast on a mic, sitting down in a chair at home, is not going to do justice to like, you have to watch all these battles if you haven't, people. It's ridiculous how he owns the room when he says these things. That bar I love. It's similar to the one against Raptor where he's like, I've been here so long, maybe a couple minutes more, level so high, if I fell off I wouldn't hit the floor. Yeah. I love that as well. And it's that creative way. It's not just saying anyone in Tony's position can battle anyone and go, I've been doing this longer than you, I'm better than you, I'm too big for you, this is a waste of my time. But to make like something super creative out of it, so many steps ahead, dancing on your boat, like Hove and Big Pimpin'. I just think it just draws on a like really cool image as well.
Yeah, I love in that battle as well. To protect what I've built, I'll put shocks in the ground like lightning rods. Yeah,
and he sort of had that again. God, this just shows how much fucking Tony D lines are actually in my head. It's incredible. If I erased Tony D from my memory, I could probably like put a book there in its place or something. But he says that the title shot, I think was the rhyme scheme, wasn't it? Supply the plot, title shot. So even the setups, like I was saying about Tony earlier, to get to that lightning rods bar, everything there is telling a story about Shocks the Rebel. He's not drawing these bars from anywhere. He's not opened up his notepad and gone, oh, what bars have I got here? I'm battling Shocks next week. He's written it all for the opponent. Not everyone does that, and I always have to take my hat off to people who are able to write that much quality material within a month. That blows my mind. I had the double L one. The double L battle was great as well. I got punchlines you're too dumb to figure out. It's like soft porn. He's getting beat on cam, but he just can't see the ins and outs.
Yeah.
That's sick, isn't it? It's
so So good.
Is that setup is all so rude. It's like, I got punchlines you're too dumb to figure out. Like, what a rude thing to say to like another rapper. It's just such a par. But then to be the setup to getting beat on cam, but can't see the ins and outs. That's so offensive, man. I think to tell somebody that you're battling what I'm saying right now, you're not understanding. That's such a good, clever angle. I don't hear that much either. I think I've rarely heard that.
No.
I've heard a lot of people attack the fans though, innit? You get like someone like Joe and I, it's just like, none of you understand what I'm saying. It's like that's like the opposite. That's kind of not very nice to say in not a good way, I guess. But saying to your opponent's pretty cool. Again, I had the saw off shotty like I'm modifying weaponry. That's I love it. Absolutely incredible. Also, I don't sound like I'm dissing the rappers that Tony's facing because they're all really good. But you can see Shotty getting worked up at that round. Like sometimes even a really composed sort of rapper and person who's really known for like their stage presence and being composed. Like sometimes you see a rapper getting worked up, and I think when Tony does that bar, Shotty starts trying to tell the crowd that it's a reach, and it's not. You can see him making the reach sign with his hand and saying, it's not, stop reacting, this isn't even good. You know, that when you're really getting into someone's head like that. And Tony, when he was literally punch, it relentlessly punching. That it's kind of like what Shocks does, I guess. Shocks is great because he just punches every bar.
Yeah. And
when someone's getting that reaction, that's so hard to just stand there and take, really. As the opponent, stand there and keep listening to the opponent get a reaction constantly. I had Mr. If I spit 3 rounds, I don't lose. This is a chiller battle.
Yep.
Wishing he never answered the call, like Colin Farrell in phone booth. On this cardiac like trouble, that's a cold blue. I split your dome into sections for entertainment like the O2.
Love that.
I just love, like, when we go through these, it really shows the sort of variety and breadth of Tony D's references. He just draws these images from so many different places, from TV and culture, from science, every single facet of sort of humanity. He seems to be able to get a punchline out of, whereas some rappers you get, all their punchlines are pretty much about TV and film and football, and it's not like that with Tony. He seems to get so many different things. That's such a vivid image. Anyone who's grown up sort of in the last couple of decades, you distinctly remember the Millennium Dome being broken up and becoming the O2 Arena. Split your dome into sections for entertainment. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Again, one of my all these are some of my favorites. OShea battle, 17 holes later, I'll be marking the scores. You get done, you under par, but that's par for the course. You get sunned, you under par, did I par him? Of course. Bro, I put this on Twitter, I think, a few weeks ago. A little clip of that battle saying this is the coolest thing anyone's ever done in a rap battle. The delivery of that bar, I've never seen anything like just that fucking cool. He just turns around and goes, of course. And you see on people's faces when he says it, it's that kind of screw face reaction. Like collectively, the whole crowd's doing it, and I love that because there's such a nice punchline disguised in that bar, and that bit I just said comes after a much longer golf scheme, which is really good. And you get done, you under par, but that's par for the course. You get sunned, you under par. Did I par him? Of course, but he says it so quickly you don't really catch the you're getting sunned, you're under par bit. But that's and then that, like, it's such intricate bar because he's saying he does that really quickly, then says did I par him? Of course. Like, a lot of people haven't really heard the punchline in it, but the fact he sort of puts that rhetorical question in there to, like, you know, it's like going over heads in the correct way. It's when you use it to your advantage, still get a reaction, but go, if you listen to that whole scheme back, you're going to pick up 2 or 3 things you didn't notice the first time round. But not to the detriment, not sacrificing reaction in the room in order to make like really intricate writing, which is a super hard balance to strike. Really difficult. This is the definition battle. Think OShea bodied me and I didn't outbar him. You're the type to watch me walk on water and be like, psh, it's only because he can't swim.
Yeah.
yeah, just like that godly Jesus reference. Really smart bar, that. And again, like, we talk about people like addressing shit, like Soul in his title match with Raptor, where he begins it by addressing what fans have been saying about him. Tony's obviously taken a lot of flack at that point for people saying OShea was funnier, OShea won the battle, and he just, instead of, you know, going or making a vlog, just write a 2-bar that summarizes the entire thing. On that subject, I'm gonna make this one, which again is related to that, about the bars and jokes thing. It's against Immaculate. Honestly, that's some hypocrisy stuff. That's not my policy. That's not how I want to be judged. I'm more like coaching in pubs on top of comedy clubs. That's bars over jokes, and that's my philosophy, bro. That again, just a rhyme scheme, like, and such a vivid image of the classic sort of British venue of a pub which has a basement where there's a comedy club. You know, that's such a like classic sort of venue to go and watch comedy or go and watch theatre. So yeah, just to take the bars over jokes and sort of make it a literal punchline. Coaching in pubs on top of comedy clubs, I think. And it's one of the rare bars where the end of the bar isn't what contains the wordplay or the punchline. Like, he's put that's bars over jokes, give that a second to sort of sink in, and then ends it with that's my philosophy, bruv. Usually you'd put the wordplay at the end of the bar conventionally. So it's always interesting to see people play with structure in battle rap, and play on the sort of conventions and expectations of it as well. Yeah, you'll probably remember this one, man. The rebuttal against Respect BA.
Yes.
So this is Edinburgh, the Catholics and the Protestants. That war, I'm fearing it, but they came to see you and a god, so you had to sell ticks to arrange us a religious experience.
That's right, yeah.
That's one of the best football bars ever, surely.
That's definitely up there. I mean, made a career through passing is also good.
Which ones?
Wasn't that you, Pirlo?
Oh, shit. Oh, career. Maybe.
B.
I've said a lot of football. Oh, Xavi Hernandez, you made your name bypassing.
Bypassing. Yeah.
I forgot about that bar. This one, Celtics to a ring. I like this because, again, it's a double meaning that works really nicely. I don't know if it is. Maybe it's something he had pre-written and sort of pulled out because it's just too perfect. I mean, you had to sell ticks to arrange us a religious experience.
Yeah.
Okay. But you had to sell ticks, like sell ticks to a Rangers, converting from Celtics to Rangers, converting from Catholic to Protestant. And he sets it up with Edinburgh, the Catholics and Protestants, that war, I'm fearing it. So, again, man, like, I'm running out of fucking superlatives here to talk about this guy, to be honest, mate. Like, I didn't realize what I was getting into now, going through these punchlines. I'll just fucking list them, mate. Again, mate, one of my favorite football bars, maybe my favorite football bar of all time. UK rap icon, Gareth Bale versus Inter. I made my name when I turned the mic on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go say it. That's the best football bar I ever said.
We've discussed this before. I just think in terms of syntax, you don't say turned a mic on. You don't say tackled a Ronaldo. You say tackled Ronaldo. You say you turned a mic on. I don't know.
But as a figure of speech, like, I could go, if I was to say I'm so skillful, I could dribble past a Messi.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I know what you mean. I know what you're saying, though. Yeah. But if he doesn't word it in that way, then the punchline
It's still incredible. I mean, it's still outrageous.
Yeah.
And, like, I know I'm coming across as nitpicky there, and maybe I just need to let that go. But
made my name when I turned a mic on. How ridiculous, like, fuck's sake.
Because it's quite an obscure reference as well. It's not like, oh, they won this tournament. It's like you have to know that Bale, you know, how he turned mic on, played him.
But I think that, especially of the time, this is a few years ago he said it, when Gareth Bale scored that hat-trick against Inter Milan, that is the career-defining moment of Gareth Bale, more so than his winning goal in the Champions League final, I'd say. Because that's the night everybody went, what the fuck? Who is that? What is that? What is he doing and how is he doing it? I think that's such a great moment to draw on. The next punchline, and again, I don't even think I've got the chat up. I don't think I can see the chat. I had it on my phone. But I don't know if people are pitching their own ones in. But if they are, read them out, man, because people don't get bored of here, man. But
let's just run through them, man. What's left?
Let's go quick. So the Yunnan battle again. The steps leading nowhere. Your setups are trapped in an Escher painting.
Yeah.
And just again, what an image to draw upon. Like all you do after that bar is your picture in Yunnan, like in that painting, running around saying like set up multis and not being able to get to a punchline. That's the image that comes to mind, isn't it? So that's crazy. I said the Spider-Man one already. We said the up his nose one already.
Yeah.
We said space in your graveyard, you never put no bodies in it. So these are the very last few now. I think there's only about 3 or 4 left that we haven't already mentioned. One of them is Respect BA. They're going to go from, again, situational bar. They're going to go from a riot to quiet, listening to the lines I say. Beware if you hear a pin drop, it fell out of a live grenade. That's maybe my top 5 favorites. Not like most, like, what the fuck, like, incredible, how did he write that? It's very simple. But it's perfect because he predicted that they were going to overreact to Respect BA's lines, which they did, as much as, again, Respect's incredible in that he was overgassed massively for some of those lines. He predicts that's going to happen, and he has a bar about it. Math Hoffer on Battle of the Brave? Yeah. Math Hoffer. He says, I'll bring you Hasselhoff and make Baywatch like Pamela Anderson. Dope, crazy reference.
Yeah.
One of Tony's best ever room shakers. You ain't got the heart for the game like Fabrice Mwamba. Probably a week or 2 after that had happened, it was very like relevant. Again, football bars. I'm gonna put more football bars in than somebody else on the show, of course, because I like football. But yeah, that's another one. We had the Intuition one against Chilla.
Yep.
We've had the switch characters like GTA 5 against Yunnan. We've had Off Balance, PH Neutral against Definition. And we had the title Snatch bar.
That's right.
In the title match. So those are all of mine. Those are all of my ones. Have you got any like honorable mentions, ones I missed out?
I think we've covered so much that I'm struggling to think of any others. People let us know in the chat if you can think
so
of any
many
others.
that went.
There are. I mean, yeah, ridiculous.
I think Friend Zone could have been in there. The Friend Zone one.
Yeah. That, the signature, my pen and name on the line is a really good bar in the third against Yunnan as well.
I've actually got one more we've not mentioned. That wasn't in the thing, and that was the one against Arsenal where he says, how does Tone get round him? Do I joke him, clown him, or fight fire with fire like we both picked dousing? Just a street fight. Nah, that's disgusting. And like Arsenal proper reacts to that as well, which is always a sign. Tony D especially, if you watch his battles, a lot of the time his opponents are reacting to his bars, and people don't show everybody that much respect when they're battling them. People keep their defense, they keep their game face on, so that's always good to see.
And we've got a few questions for yourself, Craft, in the live chat. Alan Wheat asking, Crafty, what's your favourite soft drink?
My favourite soft drink, to be honest, mate, I've for the last few years I've tried to stay away from them a bit more because they're a little bit bad for my teeth. I'm not here giving life advice, but I do tend sometimes after a football training or something, I need something, like a soft drink. I'll go for either a Dr. Pepper. By soft drink, I assume you mean fizzy drinks, by the way, or a Fanta Fruit Twist.
There we
That's
go.
the one, man. Actually, the Fanta Fruit Twist is the one. That's the one, mate. Good question, though. What's yours? I can't see the chat.
What is
what he
mine?
says.
Yeah. What is
what's
yours,
yours
Alan, as well? I'm not really a fizzy drink guy, to be honest with you, but yeah, I guess a Sprite or something like that. But yeah, more of a water.
Sprite's a bit like that's not a top tier fizzy drink, man. That's a bit plain.
Yeah, I'm not really into the fizz. I'm much more into my iced tea, water, that sort of stuff. Like, yeah, never been a big thing for me. But LJMU PGDE asking, Crafty, is Lupe Fiasco a bitter old head now?
Tough to say because I think he's probably the best writer who's approached rap ever. It's certainly my favorite writer and was very ahead of his game. Yeah, he's probably bitter in a way, but he's also one of those artists I try to separate as a artist from like him in real life, because on Twitter he's sometimes goes a bit far with stuff, but I think he's right about what he says as well. Like sometimes when he goes, he basically gave the blueprints for Kendrick Lamar and people, and a lot of those kind of artists have made concept albums that are directly influenced by him, and he's not really credited for that. So you can see why he'd be bitter. But these things go through phases. Like Lupe went super conceptual, like with the last couple things, and rather than making songs for the public, and he's probably less interested in that. But you're always going to be like, probably in any art form or any area of life, like when you're super talented and then all the people at the top of that industry kind of aren't, which is the case with rap, it probably will make you bitter. But no, I think that's probably a fair comment from him. But if he is bitter, I'd like to think that doesn't sort of detract from his body of work or what he's produced as an artist, because I certainly wouldn't be rapping or doing poetry or anything without Lupe Fiasco. So.
And looking forward then to 2019, we're recording this in November 2018, like battling wise, you're going to be battling often in that year, or?
I chat to promoters every now and then or whatever, but I've been offered a lot of battles this year, to be honest, mate. Some really good people. It's just got to inspire me to sit out and put in the time into to write for it and then go perform it. I'd quite like a very good international, maybe. And again, it's been talked about for next year.
Okay.
From a couple people, but I don't know. I think it's you get to know a lot of the people who rap on the scene and stuff, and it becomes harder to want to battle them, like to actually want to go write them and break them down or whatever. Or I think like someone who's not in the UK scene, maybe an international, would be a better fit for me right now. But I'm always I'll always probably be a little bit interested, even though I've not done it for a while. At the time when I was last battling, it was a bit off-putting how the chalked out one sort of went down, and you put in a lot of time for these things, so you want it to be a good product. So I've got to look at it in that way. I've got a bit less time on my hands at the moment than I maybe did when I was first battling. But I'd like to battle Chilla Jones, you know? Yep. I'd like to battle someone like that. And then I'd really turn up, like, and just be able to go for it and perform my ass off and write my ass off. But I've got nothing but love. I'm still supporting it all. I'm watching it all when I can. I'm collaborating with a couple big up battle rap promoters on a couple events next year. I won't say too much, but something to do with Bristol, perhaps. Bigger cards. Because I do a lot of promoting myself, more like the programming, putting lineups together, putting cards together, and putting events out. So I'm always going to take an interest in battle rap, man. And hopefully I'll battle again. But if I never do again, then that's not the worst thing in the world either. So.
And how do people get at you? Find your poetry, your music?
Yeah, man. I'm on Twitter at craft_D, and then craft-D on Facebook. So like always message me or email me or whatever, and you'll find all the links there. Really, I'm working on stuff at the moment, so you'll see more stuff from me for sure. At the moment, it's just I'm tied down to a few different projects, and I'm doing a bit of like mentoring, teaching stuff, within performing arts and within rap and stuff and that thing. So I'm trying to just like pursue different avenues and keep them all open, and that includes battle rap, So see how it goes down.
Well, everyone in the comments, let us know what you thought about our top 5 Tony D rounds, our favourite bars of his. What are your favourite Tony D memories in battles? Let us know down below. Rank your top 5 rounds as well, please. Give us some listings.
Yeah, for sure. Can I just say as well? I was going to say, because I've very passionately in this podcast talked about Tony D's writing, because I think he's it is mind blowing, especially of the time he started and what other people compared to what other people are doing. But can I just say what a gentleman Tony D is as well?
Oh yeah.
And if we're putting like this is a guy when I first started out, and he was super kind to me all the time, and he's always tagging me in the forums in like his top lines and stuff, and I reached out to him once just to get a bit of advice on something unrelated, and like he just invited me around and was just super fucking cool, man. And he's polite to everyone and nice to everyone, and that's more important in some ways, you know, than someone's art. Yeah, just a big shout out to fucking Tony D, man. He's a diamond of a person.
Completely concur. Yeah, lovely guy, and awesome ambassador for battle rap. Incredible in and out of the ring. So yeah, please follow us at Battle Rap Resume, battleresume@gmail.com. Patreon is there. Please leave us a review on iTunes as well. We've got lots of cool episodes coming up as always. So follow us on Twitter as well at Battle Rap Resume. Craft, this has been a pleasure as always. Thank you.
Big up, man. Big up what you're doing. Always a pleasure.